What if the Montreal Canadiens, in a haunting twist of fate, were forced to confront a ghost from their past? A player they once spurned who now represents the exact spark their lineup desperately needs. That's the agonizing reality general manager Kent Hughes faced as the trade deadline loomed. With reports surfacing that the Habs made a last-ditch effort to acquire Shane Wright, the prodigy they famously passed over the first overall pick in the 2022 NHL Draft. Back then, Montreal shocked the hockey world by selecting Juraj Slafkovsky instead. Leaving Wright to fall to the Seattle Kraken at 4th overall, his piercing stare of disappointment burning into the souls of the Canadiens' brass as he descended the draft stage. For years later, with Wright reportedly frustrated in Seattle and hungry for a starring role, Hughes attempted to right that historic wrong, only to be rebuffed by the Kraken. This isn't just a failed trade. It's a brutal lesson in the cost of past decisions and the unrelenting justice of the NHL's karmic wheel. Let's dissect the saga with surgical precision. The 2022 draft was a defining moment for the Canadiens, a franchise in the early stages of a rebuild desperate for a cornerstone to build around. Shane Wright, widely regarded as a consensus top prospect, was seen as a can't-miss center, a playmaker with elite hockey IQ, leadership qualities, and a competitive edge that could have reshaped Montreal's future. Instead, Hughes and his team opted for Slafkovsky, a towering winger with raw potential and physical tools, betting on his long-term upside over Wright's polished readiness. The decision sparked endless debate, with critics arguing that passing on Wright was a colossal misstep, a rejection of a sure thing for a riskier project. Fast forward to today, and while Slafkovsky has shown promising growth, the Habs attack often lacks the dynamic, cerebral presence in the middle that Wright could have provided. Now, with Montreal sitting third in their division and pushing for a playoff spot, the need for a game-changing forward has become glaring. Wright, despite inconsistent ice time in Seattle, has flashed the talent that made him a top prospect. Strong two-way play, a knack for creating offense in tight spaces, and a chip on his shoulder that fuels his drive to prove doubters wrong. Reports indicate he's dissatisfied with his role on a Kraken team crowded with young talent, yearning for a chance to be a centerpiece elsewhere. For the Canadiens, whose offense can sputter in clutch moments despite the brilliance of Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield, Wright represents the kind of hungry, motivated talent that could ignite their lineup. Hughes, recognizing the irony and the opportunity, reportedly made a play for him in the final hours before the deadline, only to be met with firm no from Seattle. The rejection Montreal dealt Wright in 2022 came full circle, a boomerang of regret striking the Habs when they needed him most. Let's explore why this failed pursuit exposes deeper flaws in Montreal's long-term planning. The decision to pass on Wright 4 years ago wasn't just a draft choice. It was a philosophical statement about the kind of team the Canadiens wanted to build. By prioritizing Slafkovsky's size and potential over Wright's polish, Hughes bet on a vision of a physically imposing, hard-to-play-against roster. That vision has yielded mixed results. Slafkovsky is developing into a power forward with top-line upside, but the team still lacks depth at center and a true offensive catalyst beyond Suzuki. Attempting to trade for Wright now suggests an acknowledgement of that gap, a tacit admission that the 2022 choice may have left a void in the lineup. It raises uncomfortable questions. Was the original decision a mistake? And if so, what does chasing Wright now say about the confidence in the current core? The justice of the NHL market is a ruthless force, and it played out here with poetic precision. Seattle's refusal to deal Wright isn't just business. It's a reflection of the league's unwritten code. When you reject a player on the biggest stage, as Montreal did in 2022, you don't get to simply undo that slight with a late trade offer. The Kraken, aware of Wright's potential and his growing frustration, likely saw no reason to hand him over to the very team that spurned him, especially not without an extortionate return. The karma of that draft night, returned to haunt the Habs, a reminder that decisions in this league carry long shadows. If Montreal had drafted Wright back then, they wouldn't be in this position now, scrambling to fix a self-inflicted wound. The punishment for past hubris is a closed door in the present. Let's also consider the tactical implications of this missed opportunity. Wright's skill set, his vision, playmaking, and ability to win puck battles would have been a perfect complement to Montreal's current roster. Pairing him with Suzuki could have created a lethal 1-2 punch down the middle, giving St. Louis the flexibility to roll two elite centers capable of driving play in all situations. His competitive fire, fueled by years of being overlooked, could have injected a much-needed edge into a team that sometimes lacks urgency in key moments. Without him, the Habs are left with the same offensive inconsistencies, relying heavily on their top line, while depth scoring remains a question mark. Hughes' public stance after the deadline, that he likes the group and chose not to make moves, feels like a hollow justification. The truth, as whispers suggest, is that they couldn't land their top target. Right. From a cultural standpoint, the saga cuts even deeper. The Canadiens are a franchise steeped in pride, with a fan base that expects excellence and accountability, admitting, even indirectly, that passing on Wright was a mistake stings, especially when the player in question has become a symbol of what could have been. Fans still debate the 2022 draft endlessly, and this failed trade attempt only reignites those arguments, casting a shadow over the progress made with Slafkovsky. It also raises questions about trust in the front office. If Hughes is willing to chase a player he once rejected, does that signal a lack of conviction in the original plan, or is it a pragmatic recognition of a need that must be filled regardless of past decisions? Either way, the optics are messy, and the Bell Center faithful are left wondering what might have been. Historically, the Canadiens have faced similar crossroads, where draft decisions have haunted them for years. Think of the 1980 draft, when they selected Doug Wickenheiser over hometown hero Dennis Savard, a move that became a lingering regret despite Wickenheiser's contributions. Or more recently, the 2012 draft, where passing on Philip Forsberg for Alex Galchenyuk left a void in elite scoring talent for years. The lesson from these moments is stark. Draft mistakes can echo through a franchise's timeline, and attempting to correct them later often comes at a steep cost, if it's even possible. Hughes' bid for Wright feels like an attempt to rewrite history, but Seattle's refusal underscores a harsh truth. Some doors, once closed, stay shut. Looking at the broader implications, this failed pursuit highlights the fragility of Montreal's rebuild. The team is in a strong position, third in the division, with a young core blossoming. But cracks remain. The inability to add a player like Wright at the deadline means the Habs must rely on internal growth to address their shortcomings, a slower and riskier path as the playoff race intensifies. It also puts pressure on Slafkovsky to accelerate his development, to justify the faith placed in him over Wright. If he falters or if the team's offensive struggles persist, the ghost of 2022 will loom larger, a constant reminder of a road not taken. Hughes must now navigate the fallout, balancing the need to bolster the roster with the reality that some targets are out of reach. There's also the human element to consider. Wright's frustration in Seattle is palpable. He wants to be a protagonist, not a supporting player. Montreal, with its passionate fan base and storied history, could have been a perfect stage for him to prove himself, to channel that draft night snub into a career-defining resurgence. But the Kraken's refusal to deal means he remains in limbo, and the Habs miss out on a player whose chip on his shoulder could have been a galvanizing force. It's a lose-lose scenario, born from a decision made 4 years ago that continues to ripple through the present. So, I'm turning the spotlight on you. If you were at the helm of Canadiens, would you be willing to pay an extortionate price to Seattle, sacrificing top picks and prospects, just to correct a perceived error of the 2022 draft and bring Shane Wright home? Or would you stand by your pride, trust in Slafkovsky's trajectory, and accept that this chapter is closed for good? This isn't just about a trade. It's about legacy, accountability, and the weight of decisions that shape a franchise for years. Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's debate whether Hughes should keep chasing a ghost or double down on the path he's chosen. The Bell Center demands answers, and the shadow of Shane Wright isn't going away anytime soon.